Offensive. Rude in a way that causes somebody to feel upset or annoyed because it shows a lack of respect. For example, offensive remarks.
Offer.
Offer. An act of saying that you are willing to do something for somebody or give something to somebody. For example, to receive a job offer.
Offer.
Offer. An act of saying that you are willing to do something for somebody or give something to somebody. For example, to receive a job offer.
Officer.
Officer. A person who is in a position of authority in the armed forces. For example, army and military and naval officers.
Official. A person who is in a position of authority in a large organization. For example, she is the government official in charge of the project.
On. On somebody's body, being worn. For example, put your coat on. On. On somebody's body, being worn. For example, put your coat on.
Only. Used to say that no other or others of the same group exist or are there. For example, she's their only daughter.
Opening.
Opening. A space or hole that somebody/something can pass through. For example, we could see the stars through an opening in the roof.
Operation.
Operation. The process of cutting open a part of a person's body in order to remove or repair a damaged part. For example, will I need to have an operation?
Opinion. Your feelings or thoughts about somebody/something, rather than a fact. For example, he has very strong political opinions.
Oppose.
Oppose. To disagree strongly with somebody's plan, policy, etc. and try to change it or prevent it from succeeding. For example, oppose somebody something.
Opposite.
Opposite. On the other side of a particular area from somebody/something and usually facing them. For example, answers are given on the opposite page.
Opposite.
Opposite. On the other side of a particular area from somebody/something and usually facing them. For example, answers are given on the opposite page.
Opposite.
Opposite. On the other side of a particular area from somebody/something and usually facing them. For example, answers are given on the opposite page.
Opposite.
Opposite. On the other side of a particular area from somebody/something and usually facing them. For example, answers are given on the opposite page.
Opposition.
Opposition. The act of strongly disagreeing with somebody/something, especially with the aim of preventing something from happening. For example, opposition came primarily from students. Organ. A part of the body that has a particular purpose, such as the heart or the brain, part of a plant with a particular purpose. For example, the internal organs.
Originate. To happen or appear for the first time in a particular place or situation. For example, the disease is thought to have originated in the tropics.
Outrage. A strong feeling of shock and anger. For example, the judge's remarks caused public outrage.
Outside.
Outside. On or to a place on the outside of something. For example, you can park your car outside our house.
Over. Across a street, an open space, etc. For example, I stopped and crossed over.
Oversee. To watch somebody or something and make sure that a job or an activity is done correctly. For example, United Nations observers oversaw the elections. Overturn. If something overturns, or if somebody overturns it, it turns into a position in which the top of it is where the bottom of it normally is or on its side. For example, the car skidded and overturned.
Overwhelm. To have such a strong emotional effect on somebody that it is difficult for them to resist or know how to react. For example, she was overwhelmed by feelings of guilt. Own. To have something that belongs to you, especially because you have bought it. For example, do you own your house or do you rent it? Own. To have something that belongs to you, especially because you have bought it. For example, do you own your house or do you rent it?
Pace. To walk up and down in a small area many times, especially because you are feeling nervous or angry. For example, plus adverb or prep. Past. Later than something. For example, 2:30.
Pause. To stop talking or doing something for a short time before continuing. For example, Anita paused for a moment.
Payment. The act of paying somebody something or of being paid. For example, what method of payment do you prefer?
Peak. The point when somebody/something is best, most successful, strongest, etc. For example, traffic reaches its peak between 8 and 9 in the morning.
Peasant. Especially in the past, or in poorer countries, a farmer who owns or rents a small piece of land. For example, peasant farmers.
Perceive. To understand or think of somebody something in a particular way. For example, perceive somebody something yourself as something.
Permission.
Permission. The act of allowing somebody to do something, especially when this is done by somebody in a position of authority. For example, permission for something.
Permit.
Permit. An official document that gives somebody the right to do something, especially for a limited period of time. For example, a parking building permit.